Hello, my cookies. Welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I got the cast iron calzone. I call this thing the Minotaur. Packs like 2 million calories per square inch. Absolutely delicious. Relatively easy. You utilize a cast iron pan. You essentially make a covered deep dish pizza. You got 2 pounds of meat. You got about 2 pounds of cheese. This is one for the record books. So now that we know what we're doing, first things first, let's gather our ingredients. You're going to need about 2 pounds pizza dough, some whole milk shredded mozzarella. You're gonna need some whole milk ricotta cheese, marinara sauce. Now, you can make your own or you can use Rayo's. 2 pounds Italian pork sausage, sweet or hot. You're gonna need some garlic. You're gonna need some thinly sliced pepperoni, olive oil, and last but not least, basil. Optional ingredient, egg. I use this to brush, get a nice goldenness on top. Also flour for dusting because I'm gonna be rolling out the pizza dough. For the pizza dough, you want at least 2 pounds. I'm gonna be using a little extra. This makes it easy. It's store-bought. If you make your own, 2 pounds is enough. Store-bought, you get a little bit more than 2 pounds. Now that we got our ingredients, let's get cooking. I got about 5 ounces of pepperoni here. I'm just gonna quarter them up. In my cast iron skillet over here, I'm gonna add about 2 teaspoons of olive oil. To my cold pan, I'm going to add my pepperoni here. I'm also going to add my Italian sausage, but I need to get the case off. No casing, just the filling. I'm just gonna turn on medium heat. I'm just gonna cook. I want all the pink gone. I wanna render all the fat out. We are gonna get rid of the majority of the fat here. So while that's going, I'm gonna do 3 cloves of garlic here. Just gonna keep stirring this up, breaking up the meat. We don't want a soggy bottom calzone, so we need to take some of this fatty goodness out. Now this is also a 1-pot dish. I'm gonna cook this up, get it into a bowl, let it cool. Then I'm gonna build the calzone in here. I have preheated my oven to 450 degrees, middle rack. You can scoop it out with a slotted spoon. I'm gonna use a colander because it's just really easy. And if you still have chunks of meat, it's fine. Don't worry about breaking it up into like kind of ground meat size. You're gonna be mixing in ricotta and some other things. And when you do that, you'll break up big ones as well. Remember, this is gonna go back in the oven. I don't wanna overcook this. Now I'm just gonna wipe out my skillet. I'm not gonna wash out. There's a difference. So now it's greased. I'm gonna get rid of this and I'm gonna put this back in here. And I'm just gonna mix in my garlic. It's really hot. It's already fatty. It's gonna cook the garlic through. I just find I get more of that garlic flavor when I do it this way. Now it's time for the pizza dough. So again, you want about 2 pounds. You want 1 1/3 pound go on the bottom. I'm gonna probably use about 1.5 pounds and just trim some excess. And then on the top, you want about 2/3 a pound. I'm gonna be using about a pound. Gonna flour my cutting board. If you use store-bought, pull them out so that they're sitting at room temperature. It's extremely hard to roll out very cold dough. Got my pizza dough. I need to roll it, pat it, whatever you want to do. Get it out to 16 inches. This is gonna take a minute. It's gonna snap back at you. You're gonna have bubbles. Work through it. Let's get my kitchen ruler here. I'm good. 16 exactly. I might roll it out a teeny bit more just because it's going to snap back on me when I lift it up and put it back in the pan. All right, so I'm just going to roll up this pizza dough a little bit on my rolling pin. So I'm going to take this cast iron pan, which is cooled substantially. Don't handle it if it's hot. And I'm just going to lay it out here. You want to kind of press it in and get it to the bottom. Lift, press, lift, press. Now it's time for the filling. Let's turn to our shredded mozzarella. We're gonna make a nice bottom layer here. I'm gonna use, I'd say maybe about 2 ounces shredded mozzarella here. So I'm gonna add about 12 ounces of ricotta whole milk cheese here. That's gonna be maybe a 1.5 cups. Now I'm mixing it in, I'm not layering it. If you layer it, it's gonna turn out all grainy and it's not gonna look great when you cut into it. But if you disperse it, it's gonna be cheesy and it's gonna be more cohesive. I'm also gonna add between 1/2 cup and a cup of my marinara sauce here. Basil, I'm gonna take about 8 big leaves. So I want about 2 tablespoons. Just roll it up. I'm gonna cut it about 1/4 inch. And then I'm gonna cut it in cubes this way. I'm not adding salt. You do not need to add salt to this recipe. Between the pepperoni and the Italian sausage, the mozzarella, ricotta, and marinara, you got plenty of salt. So let's mix this up. But you can put a little bit of cream cheese in here and it'll make it a little creamy. But you got to make sure it's softened and warm. And I'm just going to put this in here, spread it out into an even layer. Mozzarella, I'm going to do another couple cups here, a couple of handfuls. This is a lot of cheese. I don't think I'm legally allowed to do this much cheese. I'm going to set this over here. Oh my gosh, it's heavy. Because I got to roll out the other dough. For the top part of the pizza dough, you want to roll it out to 14 inches. You just need to get it to a place where you can crimp it on top and seal this delicious goodness in. And you got to work quick because you don't want that other pizza dough to dry out. Now it's time for the egg. I'm just going to whisk it up. I'm going to brush where it's going to connect. So this top little ring, as well as some of that flap hanging down. I'm going to set this aside. Don't get rid of it because we're going to brush the top. And I'm just going to pinch this together. You just want to make sure that the egg wash is doing its job and these two pieces will stay together. Kitchen shears, I'm just going to leave about 3/4 of an inch ring around. You can do a 1/2 inch, but I find that you do 3/4. As soon as you snip it, it pulls back a little bit and gives you that 1/2 inch. Just a nice little haircut all the way around here. So I'm going to fold this over itself. I just want to make sure the seam is kind of sealed. And I'm going to get a little bit of a lip around this edge. I like folding in as opposed to under because I'm going to crimp with a fork in a little bit. I'm just kind of twisting, pinching, folding, tucking. Now this looks great. You can brush this if you want. I'm going to take my fork. I like dunking it in flour. And I'm just going to go around the edge and I'm just going to press. Now these will lose definition as they cook, but this is more about sealing the edge. But you can actually see I have a little bubble in there. I have trapped air. That means I've got a good seal. It's time for the egg wash. I'm going to brush the edges first here. I'm going to try and brush in the direction of the fork tines so I don't brush them away. I'm going to cut 8 1-inch holes, maybe 2-inch, 1.5 inches. All right, I'm going to put this in the oven, 450 degrees, middle rack, 30 minutes, rotate halfway through. Let's go. All right, let's pull this calzone out. Let's see what we're working with here. The handle is going to be extremely hot on this cast iron pan. I'm going to turn my oven off. I'm going to use a towel along with this. Holy shiitake mushrooms, that's heavy. We got perfect browning. We got a little bit of stuff coming out here, but it's not soaked. We didn't get a greasy mess, and that's why taking out that grease early really helped. But now we have to wait a few minutes for me to take it out, and then we have to wait a little bit longer for me to cut into it. Everything's a little bit loose and gooey and juicy, and it's gonna tighten up a bit. You typically don't need to. I'm gonna run a knife around the edge just in case. It hasn't been that long, but let's try and get this out. Look at that, it just slides right out. I love this. Look at this. It's almost 4 inches tall. Ooh, so hot. You should let it rest for 30 minutes, but I'm not patient. Oh, it's so crispy on top. Listen. All right, you know what? I'm done with this. Let's cut into it. I can't wait. So please wait the full 30 minutes. I'm going to cut into it a little bit early. So it's going to be a little bit runnier and more molten in the middle than it should be. We might also have a little bit of juices run out. All right, I'm using a bread knife. And here we go. Look at this cheesy goodness. I'm just going to put a little bit of marinara. Heat up your marinara and we're just going to put it over. Okay, the knife goes through it. We got a nice cut. That means we got the tender dough, but it's still a little crispy on the top. The sides look nicely brown. The bottom looks nicely brown. Let's get a nice bite in here. Cheesy bite. Oh my God. Get the crispy on the outside of that pizza dough, and then that soft kind of tender. And then the tomato sauce just kind of envelops everything. And then you get that cheesy Italian sausage. And then boom, right as the Italian sausage kind of starts to fade, that pepperoni zest just kicks in, and that's what carries it to the end. And I get a little finish of that pepperoni zest. Oh, it's so good. This could feed a family of 12. So that was cast iron calzone. I call it the Minotaur. Absolutely delicious. Will feed a huge family. It is a crowd stopper and crowd pleaser. If you like what you saw, don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Twitch. I'm also on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope to see you next time. Take care.